Hi and welcome back at Absentify. My name is Josephine and I show you today in this video how you set up a user's profile after you imported the user. So we are an HR admin and so far set up the basics. In the settings section, we took a look at allowances, leave types, departments and public holidays in our previous videos, and we finished with importing users. If you can't remember, please feel free to revisit the videos. So we took a look at inviting a new user or import users via bulk. Today, we will set up the user's profile. So in my list, you see already a couple of users and you see two users that have this little red icon here, which means the user is inactive. By default, after adding a user, he will be inactive. This is because we want to make sure that you first have enough time to set up the profile and adjust some settings before this user actually has access to the system. So we will take a look at Madeleine and go through her setup. In the profile section, you see, for example, the Microsoft Sync, which is activated in this case, and we recommend to keep this activated for real-time updates to be synced here to absentify. In a second step, you can adjust, update, or simply enter the birthday, the employment start date, and if so, also the end date. Set then the language and the department, and if needed, also a custom ID, for example, for your payroll team. Also important, please make sure that the right time zone here is selected in the user's absentify profile, as well as also then in the user's Outlook. So these time zones shall match. Also, we can set here the public holiday that we previously created. So from this list, I can choose the correct public holiday, and I can also set the time format, like the date and the time format, then the default week start, and if we want to display calendar weeks, yes or no. Click Save after making your adjustments. In the second step, we take a look at access and permissions. If you want to make this user an admin, you can do so here. Scroll down, and here you have this option, make this user an admin, and also if you want to allow billing access or not. The next step is to set the right approver. Please remember that we already created the departments and assign a manager to each department. If you go to the user's profile and assigned him the correct department, automatically the approver will be set to the department's manager. But you can adjust it here. Maybe you have several approvers for this user, so you can click on Custom and look for the right approver here. You can add several approvers and can also decide on the approval process. Shall those approvers be contacted in parallel or linear? Also, you can decide shall all agree or only one has to agree. In this case, I will choose parallel, all must agree. Of course, if no approver is needed, you can also set it here to no approver and then click Save. Quite similar, you set up the representatives. If you have representatives for certain leave types, you can set here in the user's profile who shall be their representative. In this case, I already set up 2 representatives. You can also delete if you want or add simply again. And you can also choose the approval process has to be linear or parallel. In this case, I want to have it linear and I want 2 representatives to be required in this case. Then you can also decide if the user shall be allowed to change the order. What does it mean? Like the order in which the representatives approve. Or you can also decide if the user shall be able to choose which representative. What is important here? The number. So I said I want 2, now I changed my mind, I want set 1, because then the employee can actually really choose which of the 2 representatives he wants to have in place. Click Save. What does it mean actually? So if the user then creates a request, let's say for vacation, and we set in the leave type that a representative is required, then the user will see those two representatives listed and can then decide which of the representatives he wants to have in place, and then he can simply send his request. Now we take a look at schedule. So each user has automatically a schedule based on the business hours. I do a small excursus here. The business hours we set in like settings and then go to organizations, and here you have the business hours. You can view and edit, but you can override this if you go to the user's schedule. So here you can set up new work schedules on user basis. For example, you may have part-time employees, or they have like a certain time that differs from the business hours. You can set it up here. Then you can navigate to the allowances. So the allowance we also set up already, but it could be that you have individual allowances per user, so you can set this up here on user level. In my case, I created several allowances in my absentify workspace, and you can decide which allowance shall be the default one and shall be visible to the user. So I deactivated here 3 days vacation test, and only want to have vacation allowance visible to this user, set as default. And via this little pencil icon, you can edit the days. For example, I want to correct here to 20 days. Click Save. Enter a reason. And then for audit purposes, you will have this little icon here and can always view the history and can see who made changes when and what change was made for what reason. In the next step, we have several other options here. Request history means you can always come back here to see an overview of all requests of this specific user and the status, like requests that got approved, pending, declined, or cancelled. Then we also have email history. Here you will see what email got delivered to the user when. And then we have two final options, which is notification settings. In case you have a department or a certain manager user that may not even have an absentify profile but wants to get notified about requests, you can set it up here. Add notification settings. Then you choose for what leave type. You can also choose several leave types if you like, and then can decide notification stage when this person shall get notified. I decide all stages when a request is created, after approved, and every change to the approval. Here you then can type down the receiver's email. In my case, this might be payroll, so I'll type down the payroll's email and then click Save. Last but not least, we have the out-of-office templates. This is only available in Essential and Plus plan. So the Microsoft Outlook automatic replies you can set up on user level for several leave types, for all leave types. So you can edit this per leave type or for several leave type at the same time. I can say I want to select several leave types and then can enable out of office messages for this leave type and can edit the text here. So you have already a template that you can adjust, and you can also insert certain variables like the first last name of the employee, and if it's a leave type also with a representative, you will see here a representative variable. For example, if I only choose vacation and I know I've set up representative needed for the vacation leave type, automatically this variable will appear here and I can just like put it in. I also have this option, conditional templates, show only if representative is assigned, show only if approver is assigned, etc. I have two templates. One is for inside organization and one is for outside organization. I also have here this selection to send replies outside your organization or only to contacts. I also can send a test email to my account to check if everything is set up correctly, and then I simply can click save. So the template has been updated successfully for all leave types that I selected previously here in the dropdown. That's the setup of the user's profile so far. What we can do after we set up everything, we go back to our users list and finally can activate the user. Because everything is set up now and the user is ready to get an invite to join my Absentify workspace. So I simply select the user and click on activate. And now the user will receive an email from Absentify to join your workspace.